absurdity in legal commandments that may sound appealing, like no excessive barking, but are as impossible to enforce as telling a dog not to bark. And you're listening to NPR News.
And you're listening to WHYY.
Supporting WHYY Rydell Park. This lifeline community is conveniently located in Abington Township, just a brief train ride from the cultural attractions of Center City. Rydell Park has broken ground on Rydell Waters, a cottage neighborhood expansion with Phase 1 slated to open in 2020. Learn more at an upcoming info session and hard hat site tour. Details at explorerydellpark.org and explorerydellwaters.org. That's explorerydellpark.org and explorerydellwaters.org.
Public media fans support companies who support public media. Get the word out about your organization with WHYY, TV, radio, and online. Learn more at WHYY.org/underground.
8/19 Saturday morning, the Trump administration has signed a deal to help El Salvador with the root causes of migration to the U.S. Could El Salvador succeed at keeping more citizens at home? Go down all things considered from 5 to 6 on 90.9 WHYY.
Category 4 hurricane as it approaches the Bahamas this weekend. Its track remains uncertain, but forecasters now say they believe it will make a turn up the coast and spare Florida a direct hit. President Trump is spending the Labor Day holiday weekend at Camp David, but he says he will visit FEMA headquarters in D.C. tomorrow for a hurricane briefing. And actress Valerie Harper has died. She was 80 years old. Harper won 4 Emmy Awards for her sitcom role as Rhoda Morgenstern on The Mary Tyler Moore Show and as the lead of her own spin-off series. I'm Giles Snyder, NPR News from Washington.
Support for NPR comes from this station and from the NPR Wine Club, where every bottle tells a story, and favorite NPR shows become exclusive wines, like the Up First Pinot Grigio, available to adults 21 years or older. NPRWineClub.org. And from Capital One, offering a variety of credit card options with features for a range of customers, from foodies to travelers. Capital One, what's in your wallet? Credit approval required. Capital One Bank, USA, N.A.
This is Weekend Edition from NPR News. I'm Scott Simon. Imagine you've been fully pardoned of your crimes, but get punished for them anyway. That's what's happening in Connecticut, where Immigration and Customs Enforcement is trying to deport a legal permanent resident, even though her record has been cleared. As Connecticut Public Radio's Diane Orson reports, the Attorney General there is fighting in court to force the federal government to recognize the state's pardons.
When she was 4 years old, Lazara Walton's mother brought her from England to Connecticut, where she's lived as a legal permanent resident. Then, during her turbulent teens, Walton got caught shoplifting and conspiring to steal more.
I, did the crime, but I also, years ago when I was much younger.
Walton is speaking from an ICE detention center in Boston. She's there, even though she's been fully pardoned by the state of Connecticut for her crimes.
I had to get letters from people, like, saying my character and whatnot. I mean, anybody doesn't get a pardon. You have to be free of crime for a period of time.
When she got word in January that she'd likely be granted a full and unconditional state pardon, Walton says she thought it would mean she wouldn't be deported for violating the terms of her green card. She'd be able to move on with her life, get a better job, and do better for her family. But paperwork for the pardon didn't come through till March, one day after she was picked up by ICE.
And then being detained right after that, was devastated. Like what's going on? Like, why is this happening?
It does surprise me for a number of reasons.
Connecticut Attorney General William Tom says before, ICE always recognized Connecticut's pardons.
And under federal immigration law, if you receive a full, absolute
state, you are entitled to an automatic waiver of deportation.
The federal government says it's just following the letter of the law. At a court hearing in Boston earlier this summer, Justice Department Attorney Jessica Burns pointed to the exact language of the Immigration and Nationality Act.
We are interpreting the pardon waiver, which is part of the INA, which specifically limits pardons to pardons by the governor or president of the United States.
But that's not how pardons work in Connecticut. Here, the governor delegates authority to a board of pardons and paroles, and Connecticut is not unique. Governors in 6 states delegate pardon power to a board.
So my question as the Attorney General is, why are you treating Connecticut different than places like Georgia?
Again, William Tong.
I hope that's not a partisan basis, but it sure feels that way.
Connecticut's immigration policies are more liberal than Georgia's. In fact, Connecticut just passed one of the nation's most restrictive laws limiting when law enforcement can cooperate with ICE. Attorney Heather Prendergast of the American Immigration Lawyers Association says that may be part of the reason that ICE is honoring Georgia's state pardons and not Connecticut's.
The only difference that I can see as someone who's not at the agency is that one state has policies that are arguably very favorable to ICE's position, whereas the other state does not. I don't see what the difference would be in this state.
Waisara Walton remains in an ICE detention facility.
It's America, so I figured every state would follow the same process.
A federal court in New York City hears arguments in her case on Tuesday. The case is being closely watched because it could affect other immigrants facing deportation. For NPR News, I'm Diane Orson in New Haven.
Tomorrow on Weekend Edition Sunday, Rosa Gutierrez Lopez didn't want to be deported to El Salvador 14 years after she fled its violence. She sought sanctuary in a Maryland church 9 months ago. Today, she is still there and thriving while her asylum case falters. You can hear her story tomorrow morning. You can listen by asking your smart speaker to play NPR or your member station by name. Mexico has consistently been one of the most dangerous countries, but they've got to work. Most recent death, Nevi Condición this year is reported to be the deadliest. At least 11 journalists in Mexico have died so far this year, according to the Committee to Protect Journalists. That reaches last year's total only 12. Garza joins us now. He's a journalist and a consultant on journalist security, and he joins us from Torreon, Mexico. Thank you very much for being with us again, Mr. Garza.
Thank you, Scott. My pleasure.
What can you tell us about Nevi Condición?
The main case Nevi Condición reported to the website in a region and right from that. Mexico State, and
Thank you, and glad to be here.
Let me ask you about the 1990 famous heist. Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum in Boston, a couple of Rembrandts, Manet, Degas, Vermeer. You're pretty convinced they had to have help on the inside, but it's never been solved, has it?
No, it hasn't. Interesting case, and one of the things that really got me really confused about the whole case was the objects that they chose to take. The great piece that was taken was the Vermeer. It was a great Rembrandt, but everything else wasn't worth that much. They spent 81 minutes in the museum, and then they left. Never been solved, and my feeling is that someday they'll show up. Things will show up.
And we should explain, the statute of limitations is expired. So,
Yes, it has.
in theory, could someone just say, hey, I've got it?
Yeah, and they, a year or so ago, they raised the reward to $10 million.
But I wonder if nobody has come forward and the statute of limitations has expired, does that suggest, God forbid, something has happened?
That, or they're laying somewhere in some attic, and somebody will come across them someday. In the book, I have a couple of cases where we recovered a tapestry that was missing for 12 years.